Hi guys! Hopefully by the time you're watching this, I'm at home playing with my new baby girl. But if I'm not, I guess that just sucks, and you'll have to watch it anyway, and I'll just watch you watch it, and that'll be fun. Anyway, last class we started talking about shutter speed, and we talked a lot about how you can use a fast shutter speed to freeze the action in a photograph. We talked about how you use fast shutter speeds a lot of times in like sports photography. Make sure you have the players and the action just frozen in time. Nothing moving at all in the frame. Really get some nice sharp detail. And we talked about how using a fast shutter speed gives you nice safe shots. Get the shots that you really need so you have the detail, you have the good shots before you start screwing around and having the fun shots. Also, we did a little activity which was fun, I think, where we all got to jump around a little bit, get a little exercise in photography class, and see how sharp our images really are, and how much things really do in just a little teeny tiny amount of time. So now we're going to move on. Moving on to slow shutter speeds, which in fact is the opposite of fast shutter speeds. A slow shutter speed, isn't it sad how I laughed at that? I thought it was funny. A slow shutter speed, in photography we call it dragging the shutter when you do it on purpose. When you use a slow shutter speed in order to show some movement in your picture. Photographs, for the most part, are a two-dimensional, non-moving medium, unless you're Harry Potter and then your photographs can run around. But our photographs, they don't. They just sit there. They're a static medium. So any movement in your picture has to be implied. And one way to imply that is use a slow shutter speed to have your subject blurred in a little bit in specific ways. And that little bit of blur kind of adds to the feeling, adds to the motion. Hey, want to say hi? Can you say hi?
Hi.
Doing my homework on my front porch because the sunset's awesome tonight. Yeah, so shutter speed, we slow it down on purpose to give some movement. There's two different ways to do this. The first way is to have a static shot where your camera's not moving. The camera itself holds still, but the scene moves. Such as like if a train's going by, you can have someone standing looking at the train, and the actual scene is blurred, but your subject, the person who's standing there, is going to be nice, sharp in focus, not moving. And the opposite, of course, is to have a nice scene that's not moving, and have your subject moving. I said there were two techniques that photographers use when dragging the shutter, and no idea why I said that, because I really meant three. The third, which is probably the most popular of the shutter drag techniques, is taking a picture of a moving object and actually moving along with that object. Whether you're panning the camera along to keep track of that object, or you're actually moving alongside of the object. Take, for example, this picture of this dog. The dog's running, and the dog, he's not exactly sharp. This picture could have been better, but notice how the dog's sharp even though he's moving and the background's blurry. That's because the camera is moving alongside the dog at the same speed as the dog. This technique gets really popular in automotive photography. I got some of these pictures off of Porsche's website, and pretty much all of their pictures, they show that the car, it's in motion, but everything around the car is blurry. And the car's nice and sharp, and the surroundings are all blurry. And that kind of gives the impression of motion, even though we have a still photograph. It looks like these cars are zipping along. I don't know. Personally, they look fine sitting still. They're beautiful. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, they're beautiful. But Porsche gives the impression that they're moving along by moving that camera along with the cars to get these pictures. Every once in a while, you'll see kind of a radial movement in some pictures where the camera is actually twisted in a radius to try and give the impression of blur, such as in this shot of the guitar. We have our main subject is standing still in the center, but the camera's been twisted during the length of the exposure, and those lights have kind of drug across to give the impression of that radial movement. In this picture, I think this one's really cool because the guy's in air and we know that he must be moving, and they've done the same thing. They've twisted the camera, kind of a longer shutter speed. It's probably half a second or so here for the shutter speed, and they've just frozen that biker in time using a flash. Alright, for the Nikon cameras, to put it on shutter priority mode, remember, turn it on right here. You have your little dial over here. Sometimes we shoot in manual or automatic, Not today though. Today we're shooting in shutter priority mode, which you make a point to the S, which coincidentally enough stands for shutter. Once you have that in shutter priority mode, you use this dial in back right here to adjust your shutter speed. Shutter speed is listed right there on the camera, and it's indicated as an imaginary fraction. There's an imaginary 1 right above that number. So right now it's 1/250th of a second, 1/320th. You go down slower shutter speeds, such as 1/10th of a second. Fast shutter speeds way up to like 1/4000th of a second, which is way fast. It's probably faster than you. Alright, that's it. Adjusting shutter speed on the Canon cameras is going to work pretty much the same way. On the top dial, you don't put it on auto. You move it over to the TV, which I know on the other camera we're shooting shutter priority, which starts with an S and makes sense. On this camera it's TV, which I think stands for time value, but even when you turn it, it says shutter speed priority. So it doesn't make a lot of sense, but that's what you put on TV. Once you have it on TV, you push side to side on this little thing there, and it shows you what shutter speed you're shooting right over here. You can just way down low to like 1/10th of a second, and way up high. I don't know how fast this will go. Apparently 1/32,000 or 3200th of a second. That's still pretty fast. That's about it. That's it for shutter speed. Now it's time to do your assignment. Yeah. First you need to look online for about 15 minutes. And just do some research on shutter speed, slow shutter speed techniques, and shutter drag techniques. Say shutter drag. Yeah, drag. Right. After you do that, your goal today is to go out and take 2 pictures with really low shutter speed, 2 low shutter speed pictures. And that's it. I want them to be awesome. They need to be at least 1/30th of a second or slower. You may want to use tripods. You may want to look at different techniques as far as panning. Figure out what works best for you and get it done. Make some awesome pictures. Post them on your blogs. I'll be excited to look at them while I'm at home. Any questions? Well, ask your neighbor, ask the teacher, research on Google. Google's great. Yeah, or send me an email. I'll probably check my email pretty often. So if you have a question, email me. I'll try and answer as fast as I can. Alright, peace out. Talk to you later. See ya.